Hello, hi, and howdy. My name is Brady. Welcome back to the channel. I'll be your host for the evening, but I want to waste no time and dive into a question that I've been getting very frequently, especially from those who are starting an online presence, those who are just beginning, maybe making a YouTube channel or have to do social media like Instagram, TikTok, for something where you're going to be speaking to a camera and need it to look and sound professional. So this is not going to be anything spicy or crazy or over the top. It's really just like a base foundation of everything you need to know for your camera, your lens, your audio, and your lighting, just to make everything well-rounded and polished off. So moving straight in, I personally am not that kind of like office desk setup kind of guy that has this really immaculate desk setup. I'm kind of more practical, but I do believe having a scene that kind of looks good as your home base is really important. And I want to say one thing before we get into it. I just got this brand new desk that I want to share with you. Autonomous did send it out to me, but no, they didn't pay me or tell me to do anything. This is a Smart Desk Pro, and let me tell you, I haven't gotten a new desk in like 6 years, so I'm in love with this. It's an XL, so it's huge, and it can fit all of my things here, which is very important because I have a lot. But it's also a standing desk, and I'm an antsy guy. I never want to sit at a desk. So being able to have a standing desk and stand and move around and at least feel like I'm being a little bit more active is huge for me. And the motor for it, it's quiet and it's strong. It holds like over 300 pounds, and that is a relief because I've got a lot of things here and never want to risk things falling over. So this desk here is the walnut top. It's the XL version with the black legs. I love it so far, so I just wanted to share that with you guys before we dive in. But I'm also going to leave a little discount code for you guys down below to check out and maybe up your desk setup so your YouTube videos can look really nice like this. So moving into what your setup could look like, why don't we take a step back and then build this out together. So pulling back, you can see this is the broad setup here, and you see the camera, it's literally right here. So why don't we go ahead and start talking with that first. The camera that I use for my YouTube is a Sony FX3. Now, that comes with a pretty hefty price tag of like $4,000. I'm not saying that you need that. But one thing that I love most about it is that it's got the autofocus in it. So having a camera with autofocus that is also small and compact, I would say checks a lot of the boxes for YouTube, especially if you're traveling and kind of doing things on the fly. Great thing of autofocus is if I'm sitting here talking and then I want to move in and tell a secret, it's going to follow me. If I come back here, it's going to follow me as well. So you don't need to sit here and manually focus it. And then on top of that, I've got a top handle with a little shotgun mic. We'll talk about audio in just a minute, so sit tight with that. But then moving on to your lens. Your lens is going to be very important. If you've got, say, a zoom lens on, you're going to have to be like crazy far away from your camera. It just has like a very zoomed in tight look that might not feel intimate when talking to a viewer. So the lens that I'm using right now is a Sony 20mm f1.8, and I'm using that for a few different reasons. One, it's wide, so it kind of covers the whole scene. You see everything going on here, but it's also got a very shallow depth of field. That 1.8 aperture means that the background is going to be nice and soft and blurry, so you kind of have this really professional, clean look just through that wide open aperture. So looking for a lens that's like 16 to 25 millimeter, maybe 35 millimeter, and then looking at that aperture that's like 2.8, 1.8, 1.4, it's going to give you that really soft, shallow depth of field in the background. And also on top of your lens, having a specific filter of an ND filter is pretty important. So I've got one on here, it's a little screw filter. It just brightens it and darkens the image by screwing it. So that's helpful. Say you've got this window, say I've got the shears open, that's super bright. Having a filter that darkens your room and makes everything look a little bit nicer is very helpful to have. So let's talk about this guy right here, your microphone. Audio is a very important part to establish professionalism and quality in your video. It's kind of one of the first things that people notice. So audio needs to be crisp and clean. Sometimes I bounce back and forth on the way that I mic myself up. Right now, what you're hearing is this little lav microphone. So this is just a microphone that feeds wirelessly into the camera, into the audio, and it works great like that. It's good for if I'm walking around and moving around because the audio is always gonna stay with me. Other times, if I switch to like a talking head that's still like this, I might use something that's this very directional shotgun microphone on top. Now, if I walk over here, the audio completely changes and it's gonna sound echoey, it's not gonna sound as, crisp and clean. But then if I'm just sitting right here, well, it's probably gonna sound a little bit more clean. And the mic that I'm using for up here, the shotgun mic, is a Rode NTG2. Nothing crazy, but hey, I think it gets the job done pretty nicely. But say you don't have this whole top panel setup where it records the audio directly in like that. You've got the option of, say, a boom arm, where you set up a stand, bring out the arm, have the microphone here, and then you record it into something like, hold on, like a Zoom H4n audio recorder. I did this for a very long time as well. I think setup time on that takes a little bit longer. Also adds a little bit of budget of having to get stands and arms and stuff like this. But having an H4n sounds very, very nice. So I'm definitely not like a perfect audio guy. It's not where I thrive and strive, but I know that audio is important, so there's a few different options to get good audio in your videos. If you're doing a lot of motion and moving around, you might want to opt for something like a lav. Or if you're just doing static stuff like this, you can maybe get a shotgun or an onboard camera microphone. And I'll leave a few links down below even for a few budget shotgun microphone options. So with all of that in mind, I think the thing that speaks to me most, if you know me, is the lighting side of things. Now, just like audio, lighting is very important to make your videos look professional. You turn everything off and it doesn't look nearly as good. You can barely see me. So let's go ahead and get us up to speed with how I lit this talking head setup. Now, the first thing that I did was control my scene. So with it being daylight and bright outside, it's super bright. So I mean, if you drop your camera's exposure down, your lights aren't gonna be bright enough to overpower the sun. Nothing really is. So what I just did was turn the blinds down, darken things up, but now the whole scene is dark. Obviously, you probably can't see me. So the first and arguably most important light that we added here is the key light. And if you don't know what a key light is, essentially it's just the main light lighting you, your subject, your face as you're talking. So what do we want out of this key light? Well, we want a clean light, but we also want a soft light source. If this light were to just be hard, it just wouldn't look as good. You get a lot of shadows, it looks just not soft and pleasing and professional. So I'm gonna use a softbox to put it on. This here is an Aperture Light Dome Mini 3. I like the Mini because it's really small, it's portable. I'm in a small office, it doesn't take up a lot of space. And another option if you don't have a softbox is to just bounce it off the wall. I do that a lot actually, we'll show you. Now I can't see because I was just looking into the light, but essentially by bouncing it off of the wall, your wall is a bright white source, similar to like the front of that softbox. So if you don't have a softbox, just turn the light into the wall and let it bounce off and diffuse that way. And if you're curious, the light that I have for this setup is an Amaran 60X. It's $200 or sub $200. It's small, it's portable, and it works great. But now we've got our key light, our first light. Now we're gonna follow a setup called a 3-point lighting setup. Essentially what that is saying is that there are 3 points that your lighting is going to be coming from. Point 1 is this key light, our first light, that soft, beautiful light that you're gonna get across your face. Now your second light is going to be called a rim light or a hair light. And essentially that's gonna be some light that's coming from behind you, and it's really gonna make you as a character pop in your scene. So you can see this light over here. I just got that light from IKEA, and it's kind of serving a few different purposes. One, it's adding a little like, something over here. And then it's also casting a little bit of light here on the edge of my shirt, edge of my hair as well. So this is just a typical household lamp, and then in there is literally, it's like a Philips Hue bulb I got from Home Depot. They're like $11. Doesn't flicker, it looks good. You can control it from your phone as well. So having something like that in the background can be really helpful. Bringing in like a household lamp or some sort of pop of light back there is always helpful to add a little bit of visual interest in the background and then also pull you out from the background a little bit more. But I figured that I was looking at it and I was like, I'm not sticking out that much. If we want to spice it up, I've got one more light hidden back there. You can see it did a little bit more on my arm there. Bam, you see that little edge light right here? So that is just a little Aperture MC that is over here. So that's like exactly what this is here. It's like a little pocket light here. It's very versatile. I have a lot of these on hand as just using little pops of light throughout my YouTube videos whenever I need a little something in the background. So there's first point, that key light, the second point, that rim light. There's always one more that I never really use that often. The third point is called fill light. And where that comes into play is this dark side of my face. Sometimes it might be too dark and you want to bring in a light over here that's very dim and very soft to bring it up. Or let's say, I've got a cardboard box right here. You can see you can bounce light in on your face. So you're taking light from this key light off of this, and you can see as it comes in, it just, wherever it is, I can't see. Yeah, it's very subtle. So say you're a little dark on this side, you got a big black wall over there that's not white and reflective. Maybe get like a white sheet or a little 5-in-1 reflector, something white to just bounce some light back in for the third point. But then if we want to spice it up, I said we're not going to go spicy here, but if you want to feel crazy and you've got like little colored lights, like these pocket lights lying around, you can just take those, and sometimes I like to add little accents throughout my scene. Put a little color here or a little warm pop there and just hide a light in there just to add a little bit more interest in the background, a little twinkle for fun. Maybe you put it on a bookshelf, hide it somewhere, go crazy. Starting a YouTube setup can be difficult, it can be daunting, it can be irritating. It's not easy sitting here talking to a camera. It's taken me a lot of time to not get irritated and mad when doing it, because it's hard when you got a light there and a microphone and everything's hot and it's miserable. But I hope that this video made it a little bit easier with, getting the gear together, knowing what you need, what tools you need to make this happen. And if lighting excites you like it excites me and want to become a master with your lighting and cinematography, I've actually created a full course curated for the absolute beginner, never touched a light, teaching you everything that you need to know along the way to become a working professional in the cinematography world. So if you want to take your lighting to the next level, I will leave a little link down below, but that is going to do it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.